Hello, everybody. And I want to just welcome all of my watchers and all of my listeners to the very first episode of Limelight Insights. And it is such a privilege to bring you this brand new podcast series from Power Up Coaching. And we are launching today, and the date is the 6th of October. And October is a very special month for me when it comes to launching. I launched my business, I launched my ministry, and I launched all of my entrepreneurial pursuits in the month of October. And it's been 10 years since I've been in business this year. So I have great pleasure in introducing to you our very special guest. And we have on the screen, we have Mary G. Evans joining us and gracing us with this very first episode, the genesis, if you like, of Limelight Insights. And the purpose of this particular podcast, as you'll learn over the coming months, weeks and months and years, is about us bringing together influential leaders from all across the globe to share their wisdom, to share their insights, and to share their learnings from their lives, from their business, and how they can actually pass those nuggets of wisdom on to you to enhance your life, your money, and also your business as well. So we're so honored to have Mary with us today. Mary, if you just want to say a quick hello and then I'll introduce you.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Good to be here.
Fantastic. So let me tell you a little bit about Mary and really how she became the number one diamond person to actually take us through the launching of Limelight Insights. I met Mary about 6 to 7 months ago. Absolutely beautiful heart, beautiful lady. And we were in a coaching program together and we just ended up getting on a buddy call, and it was amazing. The synergy and the likeness of our spirits just connected from day one. Would you agree with that, Mary?
Yes, we were like sisters from another mother.
Oh,
and a few different things, but yeah, we were really connected.
Absolutely amazing. And I was just besotted with Mary. I was besotted with what she stood for. I was besotted with what she was going to bring to the world. And I just thought it really apt. What a better way to launch this, Limelight Insight series with a guru, with a woman of wisdom, with a woman that's wealthy in knowledge, in heart, and in spirit, but also has a lot to bring to the table. I'm so excited to hear her story, to hear where she's come from and what she's planning to do going forward. Okay, because really and truly, what Mary has taught me is that it's really not over until the fat bird or the cookie stops crowing, right? So it's amazing. So what does Mary do? Mary is a life management consultant, okay? She is an author of a book called My Estates Management Guide and My Life and Legacy Plan, How to Design Your Legacy, Will to Preserve the Values and the Life Experiences of Others. Phenomenal work she's doing. She's also the founder and life management consultant and Advanced Legal Training Institute. She's got 25 years experience, guys, as an executive trainer and a professional speaker. So we found some synergy there. Mary's also a certified conflict resolution and mediator specialist. She has management training specialist at the Fortune 500 companies. She's also the producer and the host of Voice of the Valley, which is a television show that she hosts in her own hometown. Mary has a BA at Willamette University, secondary teaching credential. So you can see, guys, I'm not bringing you somebody who is just off the cuff here. I'm bringing somebody here who has a wealth of experience, a wealth of stature, and quite a few letters behind her name. So Mary, thank you so much for gracing these Limelight Insights with your presence today. And I'd love for you to start off by telling us, a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and just I'll begin to ask you some questions from there, my darlings.
Perfect. Well, thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited to be here. I do have kind of a varied background. I graduated from college, started teaching junior high school. I was not a good enough disciplinarian for that job. So I went into Hewlett Packard and got involved in management training, which I love, which working with adults. And when you're at a company and you get invited to a training program, that's like a day out of school. So that's a big deal. Had a lot of fun. Then I left that company to start my own consulting practice. And I did what is called here in California, in the United States, professional organizing,
Ooh.
where you go into people's homes and offices and help them organize paper, etc. And at that time, I was young and had 3 little kids, and just thought you could manage a big, huge job and a family and a home and keep your relationship going. And I have since come to realize that that is almost impossible.
Sure.
Or you need a huge amount of help. So when you see these women on TV and they just had a baby and then they show up again, I promise you, they have a lot of help. They probably have a professional organizer.
Sounds like an interesting role.
Yeah. And through my work in consulting, and a lot of that was working in law firms and working with women attorneys. I remember once I worked with a gal, she wasn't even close to 5 feet tall.
Wow.
And she was the only woman in the firm. And many times the partners would come in and start giving her orders. And I said, well, number one, we got to get you bigger.
Sure,
so
sure.
as soon as they come through the door, I want you to, number one, stand up. Hopefully you've got a pair of heels underneath the desk you can slip on. Somehow make sure. And so I realized I was teaching a lot about boundaries and being assertive and speaking up. And I just became really interested in how I can support women.
Yes.
Being able to ask for more, no matter where they are. And this concept of leadership, in that you may be running your own company now, especially if you're involved with working with Nettie.
Right.
But even if you are at home and raising children, you are a leader.
That's right. Absolutely.
Everything you're doing every day, your children are watching you, learning from you, and someday it will come back to you. You'll realize how important it was that you led them and taught them. So I just feel like women sometimes don't honor themselves enough.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely. So, yes.
Nettie gets that. And so I have my consulting work, my organizing work, raising kids. Life was good. And at one point, this is probably almost 15 years ago, I had something happen that was very traumatic. I had 4 people in my family, all of whom were like healthy, normal. I had just been at my mom's house for a birthday party, came home as best as I knew. My son was in bed with a bad cold. All these people died.
Oh, my word.
Through I can't even describe it. And if you've not experienced this personally, had someone passed away, maybe it was a grandparent or something, it's huge. You have all sorts of legal things to handle, financial things, plus you're planning a funeral, plus you're feeling grief. And in many cases, I got the phone call that every parent doesn't want to get, that in the middle of the night, that my son had been in a car accident. So what I did as a result of this and moving through all this change was I became very interested in estate planning and end of life planning. And you say, well, why would I do end of life planning? I'm fine. I'm 35 or whatever. Well, I'm here to tell you, you just don't know.
Absolutely.
We are learning that with this virus. That we're all
of course.
So I wrote my first book, because I adore pets, about estate planning. And you say, what's that about? Well, it's really no different than people estate planning.
Okay. Right.
What
Right.
you do is you determine, you choose to put some money aside, and you give that to a person who's your financial caretaker, and
Right.
you put another person who
Mm-hmm.
chooses that you choose to have as your uh, physical caretaker for your pet.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Got
there's
it.
kind of a check on each
Mm,
other, right?
mm,
So let's just say in an estate plan for
mm-hmm.
your child, you would have the same thing. You would
Sure.
appoint someone to handle the money to take
Mm-hmm.
care of your
Mm-hmm.
child, and then someone else who the child may live with. So my goal in writing the pet protection legal care plan
Mm-hmm.
was that people would say, this isn't that complicated. I bet
Right.
I could do this for my family.
Okay.
So now I am dedicated to coaching women and
Mm,
men and families about end of life planning, about the legal,
right.
financial, last wishes, and probably
Yes.
the biggest part that we often don't think about is what I call legacy, which is
Right. Right.
to be remembered. And,
Yes. Yes.
what do you want to have said at your funeral?
Mm,
What do you want
mm.
to kind of be known for? And someone might say, oh, well, I don't know. It's not like I wrote a concerto,
Right.
but
Okay.
you did something. And
Yes. Absolutely.
just to give you an idea, this is
Mm.
what I would like to be mine. It's really simple. Three things I came up.
Okay.
One is that I was a very good friend, that I
Right.
devoted and dedicated and a good friend.
Mm.
Second thing was that I was kind of like a human Google.
I love that. Human Google.
And people can ask me questions about gardening, feng
Yes. Yes.
Egypt, and I can probably answer a lot of questions.
Sure.
Maybe not a lot of depth. And
Mm.
the third thing is that I was the best mother that I could be.
Lovely. Love
And
that.
I don't
Yeah.
know, I'm a single mother, and I'm not
Right.
really sure how well I did there, but I am convinced of this, that
Mm-hmm.
I did the very best I could.
Awesome, awesome.
So
Let me ask you a question, Mary. For somebody who's out there listening to this right now and they're hearing all this languaging about, end of life care, planning, and you mentioned earlier on that, obviously we know that death can happen to us at any particular time, and that it's not often maybe when you're in the, you're younger, say 50 and below, that you start thinking about having to plan for your end of life, right? We just don't,
right.
because we're living life, we're enjoying it, throwing away our years, thinking that we're never going to run out of it. But how important, would you say that it is for somebody who's listening to this right now to actually start planning from their 30s, 40s, or 50s? How important would you say that is for, someone who maybe doesn't have an idea of what their will is, their life plan, or the legacy plan? What sort of advice would you say on that right now for somebody who's younger, perhaps?
Well, I'm speaking here in the United States, but
Right.
when a child becomes, quote, an adult at age
Mm.
18, that is really when they need to begin to think about their end of life plan. You go,
Right.
what?
Interesting.
Well,
Yes.
your child goes off to college, and if first thing they need is what's called an advanced healthcare directive, which
Right.
means if they are in a car accident and you get called as a parent, that they have authorized
Mm-hmm.
you to
Mm-hmm.
speak with the doctors
Yes.
and
Yes.
their private information. You say, well,
It's like
that's
power of attorney. We sort of call that over here.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
And you say, well, that's dumb. I'm the mother of court. No,
Right.
they're very strict about it
Absolutely.
here in the United States. So, number one, you need to have a young adult sign that. Number
Right.
two is you need to have what's called a power of attorney for financial affairs.
Yes. Yes.
Because let's say they're going to be in a coma, sad,
Right.
but maybe their rent is due on Monday.
Mm,
Maybe
interesting.
they've got payments on their student loans.
Mm.